All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. It's time for our panel. And joining us on the panel here in studio is our friend, Newsday columnist Ellis, Morici, economist and professor at the University of Maryland. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Steve.
Nice to see you, Ellis.
Ellis, he said, "Nice to see you."
You know, I don't have Peter in my IFB. I'm very happy to see Peter, but I don't actually see or hear him at the moment.
Okay, so you don't have an IFB?
I have an IFB in my ear, but there's nothing. You like that TV talk?
Well, let me start with Ellis, and we just had Rand Paul on. Who, among other things, called Bill Clinton a sexual predator, an unsavory character, and said that, when talking about how often candidates are asked to return contributions from people who have done something, visited a school that, or spoken to someone who's done something unsavory or associated with an unsavory character. He said, what if, in reference to Hillary, what if your husband is the unsavory character? Do you think that this is a fair line of attack, Ellis?
It's a silly line of attack, honestly. Let me think of how many ways we can unpack this. First of all, personally, Steve, I am past judging my political leaders based on their romantic lives of any sort. I just don't judge them by that. Because if you do that and you look back in history, you have to say that Jimmy Carter was our greatest president ever, and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson should have been impeached. And that doesn't make any sense at all to me. So I don't judge my presidents by what we know about their romantic, personal, or sexual lives. So let me put that aside for the second.
All right, but Peter, one could argue that we're not talking about affairs. We're talking about accusations of sexual assault, accusations of rape. We're talking about exposing himself. We're talking about sex with a subordinate. And revelations today alleged of another romance in the White House next door to Hillary while she was sleeping, an actress who was flown in, accusations of that. So is Ellis on target, or is Rand Paul got a point?
Oh, I don't think it really matters if a president of the United States has a tryst or they fly in a model, as long as she's a willing model. But it wasn't just Monica Lewinsky. What about Mrs. Willey, that middle-aged woman who was interning in the White House? She was looking to start a career because she had lost her husband. Mr. Obama took advantage of her. An executive that did that would get booted. Some would be prosecuted. The president really got off pretty easy just having to give up his law license for a period of time. Most of the rest of us, would have spent some hard time as a consequence of that. And, Hillary Clinton herself, it's not just this. It's the collection of issues. But, Benghazi, for example, we really never got to the bottom of that in the way that's satisfactory. What seems to be the case is that there were calls for additional assistance. She basically threw those guys' lives away.
Ellis?
I'm sorry, Steve.
I'm sorry.
I'm not hearing what Peter said.
Peter brought up Kathleen Wiley, and also he brought up Benghazi when it comes to Hillary, and that we haven't gotten to the bottom of that. So these are questions that linger.
Well, listen, honestly, the vast majority of Americans aren't swayed by that stuff. My God, why are these names? They're like from 20 years ago, it seems like. There are reasons to be for Hillary Clinton and to not like Hillary Clinton, but that kind of marginal, way off on the edge kind of stuff, it's not going to have any impact on this.
How about Benghazi? Is that marginal and way off on the edge?
Listen, let's debate it. So far, it has had very little impact on the broader political dialogue. I understand there's a group of people, Steve, in this country who are just, can hardly discuss anything else.
Yeah, like the four families who lost loved ones, and Hillary saying, what difference does it make?
Steve, listen. It is obviously. Should I say this so we're on the same page? It is always terrible when any American loses his life in defense of our country. Chris Stevens and the others are patriots. Anything you discuss about it in no way diminishes the respect that I or others, including, I'm sure, Hillary Clinton, have for them and the sacrifice that they made on behalf of this country. There are things we can discuss about whether we protect our people overseas in appropriate ways, both the military and the diplomatic people. But again, trying to use that as some kind of suggestion that Hillary Clinton doesn't care about dead Americans or isn't concerned about people in dangerous postings, it's just silly. It's not a smart argument.
Peter, what about it?
Well, Ellis is making the point that people aren't, it's really not in the front of, in people's focus. And to that, I really blame the media. I mean, whether it's Benghazi or rifling the phone records of the AP or tracking down the parents of a Fox reporter or systematically persecuting folks that give money to liberal causes. I mean, I got lots of friends. I'm a conservative. Ellis doesn't have many conservative friends but me, and I haven't been audited, so, Ellis, you're off the hook. But I've got a lot of conservative friends who have been audited for the first time in 30, 40 years, and they all seem to have one characteristic. One characteristic. They gave money to a conservative cause. Now, the media isn't really doing very much with that, or Benghazi, or the rest.
Right.
The media gives Democrats a pass.
Peter, we appreciate your time. Peter Morici, economist, professor, University of Maryland. Ellis Henican, Newsday. He'll be back next hour on the panel. Thank you both. We're coming back. Bill Gertz with a big security.